Metalorian databank on humans. Cloaked in obsidian and silver armor that glittered like mythological knights, the humans journeyed across the universe from a place incredibly remote. According to records, our observable universe is a speck in their skies. When they arrived in this galaxy, they confronted its rulers, the Ikriks. They saw slavery, and the way the Ikriks ruled as a violation of human religious beliefs and started a holy war. They brought the resonating conflict to us, a worker race barely above the slave races, which until then had been mere whispers in the galactic wind. With their unimaginable might, they became our defense, bearing weapons that could shatter any force of oppression. Although small and slender, the intensity of their power left us in awe. Before them, we looked insignificant. They clung to their ancient books filled with a strange, vibrant energy. When they chanted, bands of brilliant light painted the sky, eradicating any obstacle in their path. We knew them as humans from Hadnode. They were creatures from a galaxy far from ours. Their seemingly simple technology surprisingly matched, if not surpassed, the power of intergalactic weapons. Their strong faith in magic, spiritual power, and gods rekindled the ancient belief in the supernatural in many worlds. POV Human, age 25, Galaxy R, region T4YX. 112 local planet name, Metaloria. I was visiting a planet to install a scanner and intergalactic communication system on one of their moons. I was kind of like an internet technician, connecting worlds to our universal communication network. Well, technically the robots were doing the installation, so it was more of just tagging along. I was here only to fulfill a protocol that our company has. No unmanned missions. This protocol was the result of something that happened long ago, probably. The rulers of Hadnode are a bit eccentric with some of their protocols, but they've lived for quite a long time, and have done quite a lot of things. Their rules and protocols kept humanity alive and thriving, so there was no need to question them. While the robots dug into the moon, and installed sensors and computers deep into the crust, I decided to fly down and visit the world. I had never actually met aliens, as this was my first mission. Our whole galaxy was devoid of life, other than that which originated on Earth, and I was new to this galaxy. I had only gotten certified a year ago to use the necessary equipment this job required. Travelling through the cosmos wasn't such a bad job for someone without a college degree. Well, I was nothing more than a glorified checkmark on a paper anyway, so although it was quite an achievement, at the same time, it really wasn't. I put on my armor, which created an invisible bubble around me that replaced the old spacesuits of the past. This allowed me existence in essentially any atmosphere or lack thereof. It also doubled as a powerful shield. Then I went into the weapons room. It had swords, maces, magic tomes, chainmail and bows. I imagined that this looked very similar to the weapons we had thousands of years ago. I proceeded to the middle and took out a standard-issued Hadnode sword. Although they looked like normal metal swords, these things were essentially four-dimensional objects, and could slice by splicing space itself, instead of pushing an object with force. Thankfully, the AI in my brain controlled the functionality, and prevented me from accidentally cutting myself in half, or destroying things as I walked by them. The AI knew when I was holding it as a weapon, and only activated it when I slashed with the intention to cut. Still, the sword was scary to hold, so I carefully placed it on the side of my body, where it clung to the suit near my hip. As I stepped on the planet, I was greeted with some sort of celebration. My ship had negotiated my stay with the world government when I told him my plans, and I was sent to one of their more developed cities and given contact with the local government. There was a limit to the information I could give to the locals, and I was under strict instructions to act as a religious devout. In the past, humanity had found that it made things much easier to present ourselves as sacred, and our technology as magic, when we came into contact with a new world. This made it easier to take underdeveloped worlds under our wing, and prevent conflict with advanced ones. A scientist wouldn't ask many questions about how our technology works, if they believe we think it's magic. Before leaving for this expanse of the universe, I became intimate with an elaborate faith concocted by the ingenious minds of Hadnode. According to this convincingly forged lore, I was no mere traveller, but a disciple of the Goddess of Freedom. Our narrative took the delusion a step further. Our gods were not ethereal or mystical beings, but tangible entities, alive and breathing. Our fabricated deities, fully embodied in our missions, were a clever diplomatic tool. They lent an air of authenticity to our feigned devotion, and proved to be the perfect icebreakers when it came to negotiating peace treaties with alien rulers. How could you question the existence of a god sitting across the table, sharing pleasantries over a cup of beer? The sheer ingenuity of the crafting of our faux religion was striking. From the design of the talisman symbolizing the Goddess of Freedom, to the detailed scripture I had to memorize, it was a masterpiece of deception. It made it possible for us to assimilate and begin our peaceful control over other worlds. The Goddess of Freedom was a sweet woman who essentially let us do what we wanted as long as we were generally nice to others. The work was relaxed, and we were mostly sent out for humanitarian aid or to set up infrastructure in places already deemed safe. Essentially, this was the safest place to be within the company if you wanted to travel the universe. I spent a week travelling around the city, and the ship's AI informed me that the construction was finally finished. Great! That was fun. I had a bunch of souvenirs from this world. After another celebration, I got on the ship and was on my way to the next world. I smiled as I waved to the entire world on my way out. A job well done, I thought to myself, as I remembered the crowd that had gathered to bid me farewell. Amongst the sea of metallic scales and bioluminescent eyes, I saw a figure I recognized. His scales shone a distinct hue that set him apart from the others. From the looks of him, he was probably a warrior, a guard, or something. I think he was part of the group assigned to follow me around when I first arrived. He didn't wave or cheer, just stood, watching me intently. I wondered what was running through his mind. His name was Boshan, the ship AI replied. It was constantly reading my mind while I was inside of it, and it knew what I was struggling to remember. POV, Metallorian, age 41, Boshan, occupation, warrior. We thrive on a planet that orbits an ordinary star, situated on the edge of our galaxy. For thousands of years, our kind has worked as builders for the galaxy. We have worked side by side with many of the other builder races, chosen because of our size and strength. We can carry and move metal around, weld and stand in the heat of our factories. Our world is built on a culture of strength, and so our warriors must also be strong, to keep order in a society such as ours. Our kind uses its warriors to keep order, and the order has recently been hard to maintain. A massive war was fought 100 years ago, when humans arrived in our galaxy. They were the only ones with the ability to travel between galaxies, and the only ones in all our knowledge to exist outside of ours. With them, they brought strong ideals that clashed against the rulers of our intergalactic order, the Icrics, and in an attempt to show strength, the Icrics tried to dominate humanity like they had done all others, only to realize too late that humans cannot be dominated. What used to be a world of just Metallorians was now slowly becoming more diverse, as survivors of the Ruthless War slowly populated our colonies and trickled into our cities. Our existence was marked by metallic scales covering our bodies, and 3 pairs of eyes that changed colour based on our emotions. Our robust bioluminescent claws kept the ends of our limbs. Despite all this, I felt insignificant amidst the conflicts of imposing imperialistic realms. I did not fully understand the Great War, and even after 100 years of its end, it was barely starting to affect my world, as it was far from the rest. Up until now, I had only heard about humanity in myths, and obviously exaggerated stories. But now, I was given a task to guard a human that would visit my city. The visit to our world by this human envoy disrupted our whole routine. Our news cycles revolved only around him. The world halted and then sprung to life with excitement and fear, and countless arrangements worth billions of coins were being carried out to please it. This human, much smaller than the Metallorian, emanated an overwhelming power. His lean body was muscled under pale skin, and his mannerisms were marked by assertiveness. He stood alone among us, unafraid of our appearance or the possibility of his death. Our leader, my father, urged us to treat the visitor with the utmost hospitality, marking his departure with a citywide celebration just for him. Yet to me, his sheer presence and assertion of power spurred an internal rebellion against submission. Our race was powerful and honourable. We were the workers that built the great Dyson spheres and gateways used across the galaxy. And here we were, willingly lowering our heads to a single soft-skinned being. I voiced my defiance to our leader, questioning our somewhat blind obedience to the humans simply because of a war we barely understood that happened many light years away. It seemed absurd to submit to the power of one alien being, merely due to the status of their race. Our leader's calm expression bore into mine, as he soberly weighed in on my concern. These humans don't send just envoys. Each human is a formidable powerhouse, embodying the unyielding spirit of their entire race, and the power of a country. Did you notice anything unusual about him, Boshun? He asked. Reluctantly, I noted. He carried a sword. Although massive for his size, it was still just a simple metallic sword. Exactly, the leader responded, his glowing scales flickering ominously. The Uho also have swords to show rank, although theirs are much fancier. Does that mean this human was a low rank, to hold such a simple weapon? Was he trying to tell me that even the lowest of humans are above us? That human is a hat-node warrior, he quickly interrupted me. Their swords are neither cultural artifacts nor status symbols. He stood up and straightened his back as his scales moved like a wave, pointing his claws at the ceiling and baring his fangs. They carry swords because their firearms are too powerful, he continued. Human guns have terrifying power, far beyond what we consider normal. A single handheld human weapon can destroy a massive battleship, bending the very fabric of reality. But even though they have terrifying weapons, these creatures are not physically weak like they seem. The very strength of a human, their raw and visceral power, is more horrifying than any weapon. His scales shivered. There was something slowly emerging from behind his eyes. You speak as if you have seen it, I replied. That is because I have. Before I was given power over this city, I was an advisor to a human ship. Our race joined them early on for reasons unknown to me at the time, reasons that became clear rather quickly. A human warrior, alone and with a sword, can decimate our entire city. Even without one, his bare hands are lethal, and the sword is merely an extension of that, he added, his eyes now fully black, showing unease. Those stories of human prowess that sound like myths, to us, are their reality. Once I saw a hat-nosed soldier, trapped in an enemy ship wreckage. The ship had crashed into him in an attempt to kill him. His body was half destroyed, but even under the metal, he freed himself with sheer strength, only to be drawn into a human spacecraft. They believe in not leaving any human behind, the leader said, visibly shaken. His eyes met mine as he continued. He returned the next day, completely healed, as if the previous day's horror hadn't left a scar. When I asked him how he survived, he simply said, "Because I haven't been given permission to die." His words sent a shiver up my spine. Permission? Permission to die? When a human visits our world, our leader murmured solemnly, you are looking at a powerful weapon, cloaked as a creature. It's essential to treat them with the utmost respect, not only out of policy, but to avoid a confrontation we can never hope to win. The tales I previously considered folklore had taken an uncannily real turn. The races of this galaxy lost billions in battles across the celestial bodies. But humans, on the other hand, never revealed a casualty if they had one. And now I wasn't sure if they ever did. The question that haunted me was, why had this hat-nosed warrior chosen to visit our planet? Well, all I can do is trust in our leaders, and hope this isn't some sign of bad things to come. I shivered, remembering the way the human casually bent this city to its will.